Every octopus that has ever lived died without passing a single memory to its children. No teaching, no guidance, no inherited knowledge, and yet somehow, within weeks of hatching alone in open water, they master tool use, problem solving, and hunting strategies that take other animals years to learn. The question isn't whether octopuses are intelligent. The question is, how does intelligence this sophisticated exist without anyone to pass it on? Most people think of an octopus as a squishy, boneless sea creature, interesting to look at, maybe a little creepy, but ultimately a simple invertebrate, something closer to a jellyfish than to a dog. That framing is wrong in almost every direction. The octopus is one of the most cognitively complex animals on Earth, running a nervous system so alien it forces neuroscientists to rewrite their assumptions about what a brain even needs to look like. It evolved its intelligence completely independently from vertebrates, on a separate branch of the tree of life, hundreds of millions of years ago. And it did all of this while being soft, boneless, and almost entirely edible, which might be the strangest part of the whole story. The octopus has 3 hearts and blue blood, and both of those facts exist for the same reason. Most animals use hemoglobin, an iron-based protein, to carry oxygen through the bloodstream, which makes the blood appear red. Octopuses use hemocyanin, a copper-based protein instead, which turns their blood a vivid blue. Hemocyanin is less efficient than hemoglobin at normal temperatures, but it works dramatically better in cold, low-oxygen environments like the deep ocean. The 3 hearts are part of the same system. 2 branchial hearts pump blood through the gills, and a third, systemic heart, then pumps the oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. When an octopus swims by jet propulsion, blasting water out of its mantle, the systemic heart actually stops beating. That's why octopuses prefer crawling to swimming. Swimming for them is exhausting in a way that's almost comical given how graceful it looks. 2/3 of an octopus's neurons are not in its brain. They're in its arms. Each arm contains roughly 40 to 50 million neurons and operates with a significant degree of autonomy. If you sever an octopus arm from its body, that arm will continue to react to stimuli, attempt to grip objects, and even try to pass food toward where the mouth used to be for up to an hour. The central brain sets goals and broad intentions, but the arms carry out execution largely on their own, with local nerve clusters making real-time decisions without waiting for instructions from above. This is called a distributed nervous system, and it means the octopus is not one mind controlling 8 limbs. It is, in a meaningful sense, 9 semi-independent systems running in parallel. Neuroscientists studying motor control use octopus arms as a model for understanding how intelligence can be embodied rather than centralized. Octopuses can change the color, pattern, and texture of their skin in under 200 milliseconds, faster than a human eye can fully process the change. They do this using 3 layers of specialized cells: chromatophores, which are pigment sacs that expand and contract, iridophores, which reflect and scatter light structurally, and papillae, which are muscular bumps that can transform smooth skin into a surface that looks like algae, coral, or rock. The system is so precise that an octopus can display a moving pattern on one side of its body while displaying a completely different pattern on the other side simultaneously. Researchers have recorded octopuses producing a rapid flickering wave of light and dark pulses across their skin during sleep, a pattern that changes in real time, which some scientists now believe may be evidence of dreaming. The animal appears to be replaying visual experiences, its skin lighting up with the scenes. Octopuses are active tool users, which puts them in a very short list of non-human animals. In 2009, researchers documented veined octopuses in Indonesia collecting discarded coconut shell halves from the ocean floor, carrying them, awkwardly, on 2 arms, while walking on the other 6, to a new location, then assembling the shells into a portable shelter they could carry and deploy later. This is considered true tool use rather than simple object manipulation because the octopus collects the shell when it has no immediate use for it, tolerates the cost of carrying it, and uses it later in a different context. The animals were filmed actually stacking 2 shell halves together, tucking themselves inside, and pulling the shells closed around them. A coconut shell igloo built by an invertebrate. For future use, the mimic octopus of Indonesia takes camouflage to a level that borders on performance art. Rather than simply blending into the background, it actively impersonates specific dangerous animals. It has been documented mimicking lionfish by spreading its arms to imitate venomous spines, mimicking flatfish by flattening its body and undulating its arms to replicate the side-to-side motion of a fish swimming across the seafloor, and mimicking banded sea snakes by hiding 6 of its arms in a burrow and waving the remaining 2 in alternating black and white stripes. What makes this remarkable is the apparent selectivity. Researchers observed that when harassed by damselfish, which are preyed upon by sea snakes, the mimic octopus specifically shifted to the sea snake display rather than another form. It appeared to be choosing its disguise based on the identity of the threat. That implies not just mimicry, but something resembling contextual decision-making about which lie to tell. Octopuses have been recorded escaping from sealed tanks, crossing dry land at night, entering adjacent tanks to eat the fish inside, and then returning to their own tank before morning. At the Seattle Aquarium, one octopus named Truman repeatedly soaked a staff member he disliked with jets of water whenever the person walked by, but only that particular person, showing no such behavior toward anyone else. At the Santa Barbara Aquarium, an octopus was reported to stop up the outflow pipe of her tank with her body, flooding the aquarium floor, apparently having learned the connection between the drain and the water level. These are not isolated quirks. Aquarium staff worldwide report octopuses rearranging their tanks, hiding in objects they shouldn't be able to fit inside, and learning the daily schedules of their keepers with apparent purpose. One researcher described caring for an octopus as like having a very smart toddler in your care, one that has no bones and can go anywhere. The giant Pacific octopus is the largest octopus species alive, and its scale is genuinely disorienting when you encounter it outside a list of statistics. The largest verified specimen had an arm span of 9.8 meters, over 32 feet, and weighed 272 kilograms, roughly the size of a large male gorilla. But it started life as a hatchling, about the size of a grain of rice. In the right conditions, a giant Pacific octopus grows at a rate of roughly 5% of its body weight every single day, one of the fastest growth rates of any animal on Earth. In 3 to 5 years, it goes from a rice grain to a creature that can wrap its arms around a small car. It gets to this size despite having a lifespan of only 3 to 5 years, meaning the entire arc, hatching, surviving, growing, hunting, mating, happens at a pace that seems almost compressed compared to other animals of similar size and intelligence. Octopus venom is more widespread than most people realize, and in at least one species, it is capable of killing a human being in minutes. Every octopus species produces venom, which they use to subdue prey and, when threatened, as a defense. Most octopus venom causes localized paralysis in small prey and mild to moderate pain in humans. The blue-ringed octopus, a genus of 4 species found in the Pacific and Indian Oceans, is the exception. No larger than a tennis ball, it produces tetrodotoxin, the same neurotoxin found in pufferfish in quantities sufficient to kill multiple adult humans. There is no anti-venom. The bite is often painless, which means victims may not realize they've been envenomated until muscle paralysis begins spreading across their body, followed by respiratory failure. The only treatment is manual artificial respiration maintained for hours, sometimes up to 15 hours, until the toxin clears the system. The animal is brightly colored and sometimes described as beautiful. It is also, per gram, one of the most lethally venomous animals alive. Octopuses practice something researchers call death feigning. But one species has taken self-defense to an entirely different register. The larger Pacific striped octopus, discovered relatively recently, does something that violates the predator-prey script entirely. When hunting shrimp, it doesn't stalk or ambush. It reaches out and taps the shrimp on the far side of its body. The shrimp, startled, jumps directly toward the octopus. The octopus catches it in midair. This is called flush and catch behavior, and it requires the octopus to understand and predict the escape response of its prey, to model the shrimp's behavior well enough to engineer the outcome it wants. It is, in the truest sense, a mind reading another animal and using that knowledge as a weapon. Here is the thing that changes everything about how you see an octopus. The last common ancestor of octopuses and humans lived approximately 750 million years ago. It was almost certainly a flat, simple worm-like creature with no brain, no eyes, and no complex nervous system whatsoever. Everything that octopuses have. Their distributed intelligence, their camera-like eyes with horizontal pupils, their color-shifting skin, their capacity for play and recognition and problem-solving evolved entirely independently from any of those same traits in vertebrates. The octopus eye, for example, is structurally similar to the human eye, but it evolved separately from completely different genetic starting points in a process called convergent evolution. The octopus retina is wired correctly. Photoreceptors face toward the light, while the human retina is wired backward, a historical accident left over from how vertebrate eyes first developed. In other words, the octopus independently arrived at a better solution to the same engineering problem. This is what the octopus actually represents. It is not a curiosity on the edge of the animal kingdom. It is proof that intelligence, genuine, flexible, creative problem-solving, can emerge from a completely different substrate, with completely different architecture, along a completely different evolutionary path. When we study octopus cognition, we are not studying a simpler version of mammalian intelligence. We are studying a second invention of the mind, running on alien hardware, that arrived at many of the same conclusions. Some researchers argue that contact with octopus cognition is the closest thing we currently have to making contact with a truly foreign kind of intelligence, not because they are strange, but because they are so recognizably capable and yet so fundamentally other. Every octopus dies alone, having taught nothing and left nothing behind. And still, the intelligence keeps returning, rebuilt from scratch, every generation, in an animal that lives for 3 years and then disappears. Whatever the mind is, the octopus found it without any of the things we assumed were necessary to find it.